Good afternoon, Cathlene Miner. Thank you very much for joining me on Perfect Health with Elaine Godley on Elastic FM.
It is great to be here. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. And you're in sunny Florida.
I am. I am on the coast of Northeast Florida, which is St. Augustine.
Fabulous. And you mentioned, I can't believe you've told me that you're a mother of 4 and grandmother of 2. You don't look old enough to be mother of anybody.
Yeah, right. So when you start early, that happens. And so I have 4 children, and the oldest is going to be 27. And then I have 24, 14, and 12, and 2 granddaughters. So I still have, I have the 2 that are already out of the house. One's married. One's getting married in October. And then I have the 2 at home, which we homeschool. So we're all at home all day together, which is awesome. And the grandchildren are 3 and 7 months. So yeah, but yeah, it's fun.
Brilliant. Okay, so how do you find time in all of that to be an author, a speaker, and a coach?
It's taken years to be able to figure out how to balance everything. But part of the thing that I realized as I've gotten older and wiser, as I like to say, is making sure that I take time for me, because then I'm better for everybody else.
Exactly.
And also, as your kids get a little bit older, right? So the ages of 12 and 14, I can do some things, it's not like they're toddlers or you have to be right on top of them all the time. And so I have found that when they're doing their schoolwork, we do have a tutor that comes to help now because they're both in 9th grade. And sometimes, I knew when I reached my limit with some of that kind of stuff, as far as what I can help them with, then I take that time to do what my passion is, which is speaking and writing and helping others. And I also run a charity that I brought over. Well, it started in the United Kingdom by Brenda Dempsey, and it's called Helping Handbags. And I brought that over to the United States. So that's another thing that I'm passionate about. We help women. And that's another thing I do in my time to myself, but
for you. Yeah, cool.
Right.
Okay. Did you say Helping Handbags?
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about that. I've not heard of that.
Okay, so it's Helping Handbags, and what we do is we take gently used, once loved handbags. Us women have those,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And they're donated, and then we fill the bags depending on what each organization needs for the homeless. So, like some that we work with, at least here in the United States, are either young pregnant moms, so they'll get something different in their bags than a different organization that is they have families and they're getting the women back out into the workforce so they can get a job. And so in their bags, there will be different things. We always have necessities, but there might be some lip gloss or some eyeshadow. And we have little cards that we've made of the top 50 questions you may get asked on an interview, and what to think about before you answer those questions and things like that. And it's amazing to see just the hope, and with all of the different organizations, the nonprofit organizations coming together, because we all can't save everybody, but everybody coming together to do our part really makes such a huge difference. And they're just so appreciative. And the people that I run across in these shelters, they're not there because they want to be there. They came across hard times, and we've all been in hard times in our life, right? Whether it be health or
yes,
not a place to live, right? And so it's nice just to connect with them. And the handbags, because these handbags that are donated are amazing handbags. They're not just ones that people just want to get rid of because they're broken or they're old. There's really love that goes into them donating these bags. And then we have a process here where we know what the organizations need and how many they need and what their program is. And so each bag is filled specifically for that. And it's the same in the United Kingdom where it started. Over there, they have different needs, which is so interesting to me. And I love the differences between the countries because it's all the same, but it's not, right? Because our governments or things have different programs in place for our particular countries or state over here. And so we will put different things. So that's what that's about. And we even do haircuts now. So women's haircuts. I mean, I don't cut the hair because I'm not a hairdresser, but we have people that donate their time to go cut women's hair, because in homeless shelters, we're finding that there's a lot of men, barbers, that will come and cut the guy's hair, but the women's hair doesn't really get cut because it's more time consuming, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
But, oh my gosh, just the hope that you see, because they know that people care. And it gives them that motivation too, to get out, you know, back out into the real world. And when you're talking to them and they hear your story, even though it may be a whole bunch different, they relate, you know, that, okay, if they can get on, so can I. Yeah. So that's a brief view of that, but I love it. I love it.
Okay. I didn't know that's what it was called, but actually I did that a couple of Christmases ago. I donated a handbag and filled it with toiletries for the homeless. So I have actually participated without realising it was a name. Yeah.
I bet you did. I'm sure you did. Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. So when you're not filling handbags and teaching your children and looking after grandchildren, what do you speak about as an author and a speaker?
Self-perception. So my expertise is self-perception, manifesting, and fitness. So I've been in the fitness industry for almost 27 years now, which is really hard for me to believe. Sometimes, you know, I think, how did that much time pass? And how am I that old to say that? But anyway, older and wiser. And what I learned was when I was helping women get into shape physically, that I myself was going through a time in my life where I had to work on myself internally. I had to connect inward, because my self-perception, I did not have a healthy self-perception. And that I had an eating disorder when I was in high school. So this is how all of this kind of accumulated and where I've gotten to where I am today. And my self-perception was not healthy. And so I began to work on my own, and then incorporating that with my clients. So not just working on the outside physically, but the inside as well. And the success that they had was amazing. Not only just in their physical appearance, but their happiness and their success in life in general, which led me to the manifesting. So, you know, I like to think of another word, it's not really woo-woo, but of manifesting as magnetize, right? So like, for instance, if you wake up in the morning and you're already thinking about things that are going to go wrong that day, chances are things aren't going to go that great that day. Yeah. So, you know, we just put out a different mindset and put that out there so that we are open to receiving those great things. So it kind of snowballed into that. And so that's what I've been doing. So that's what I speak about as well. Self-perception is the main one, but it all leads into, since my expertise is in fitness as well for women, because I always specialized in women. And then one leads to the other. So. Okay.
So when you were 19, you had an eating disorder. Is that something that gradually came on throughout your life, or was it a sudden thing that caused that?
You know, it actually started when I was about 15. And I think I was just trying to be something I wasn't. It's probably the easiest way to say it. I know I let social media, or I would see skinny girls at school and I would assume that they were the happy ones, you know, that they had nothing wrong. And, you know, I always thought that if I got skinny, then I would feel that empty. I would fill that empty spot inside of me. And that just gradually led to an eating disorder. At first it led to just not eating. And then it led to binge eating and bulimia, where you make yourself get sick. And of course I tried to hide it, but you know, my parents were really smart, and they caught on. And so it was quite a process, because, you know, it's something your whole family has to deal with as well. Right. So I went to counseling and gradually got over that. But it took a lot of looking inward then as well. And that's when I first started to realize that something was not right with me. Meaning I had work to do.
Yes. Right?
Yeah. I was always trying to grab from the outside to fix the inside, you know, and I felt like, I guess I had control over my eating. So that was something I could control, but it wasn't. And you know, I got really sick. So at 19, I guess that age comes up, because I say gotten over an eating disorder because I believe, in everybody that I've worked with that has them, and myself included, this is something that even if you're not making yourself get sick, and if you're not, not eating, you have to really, it's mentally, you always have that on your mind that you have to take care of yourself, or you could end up back where you were before. So it just like everybody, I always feel everybody has something they need to work on more so than something else. And if you have ever had an eating disorder, it's just something that you just have to be aware of. So at 19, I got pregnant, and I had hyperemesis. So for those of you that don't know what that is, long story short, what that is, it's basically where you get sick the entire pregnancy. So.
Oh, horrible. Is that what what's her name? Catherine had, William and Catherine,
I believe
had
so.
pregnancies.
Exactly. Yeah. So you get sick the entire time. So for that, my first pregnancy, I was on IV in the hospital most of the time, probably about 7 months out of my pregnancy.
Wow.
When they would send me home, I had to have the IV in. And being young, they were coming into my room and they would say, are you making yourself get sick? Because they knew my history, right? No, I'm really not, And so that was a lot of mental work I had to work on as well, with people trying to think I was doing this on purpose. But I got through that. And the last month and a half of my pregnancy, and this happened each time, I gained a lot of weight. I kind of thought that the universe was playing like tricks on me, to be honest with you, because I was like, okay, I know I had an eating disorder. I know it was really hard. I got over it. Here I am getting sick and I don't mean to. And now I always wanted to be in shape. And now I'm gaining all this weight all of a sudden. So I gained, I know it sounds unbelievable, but I've got pictures and family to prove it, 60 pounds at the end of my first pregnancy. And
that's a lot.
That's a lot. And I believe everybody has a set point for their, for their babies to be healthy. But so anyway, then I got on after that is when I really focused in, and I really was committed to having a healthy life and having my children have a healthy life. Healthy meaning, yes, healthy, but of course with food as well. And with physical exercise, but in a healthy way, not a obsessive way. And when people who have an eating disorder can totally relate to this, I know it's easy to get obsessive. It's very, just like it is for any other addict for something else, right? It's easy to go over that edge and be obsessive. So I was certified in nutrition and just about any kind of aerobic exercise you can imagine, and began to work more on mindset and all of that. So that's how I got to where I am today, as far as what I speak about, what I write about, and what I coach about. And just to say too, each one of my other pregnancies, I also had hyperemesis. So it was just one of those things, right? And I also gained the same amount of weight with each one of them, except for one. My third child, I only gained 45 pounds. And I was like, yes. Only because, you go to the doctor and they tell you, at least here, you shouldn't gain more than 25 pounds. And of course, you don't think it's going to be a problem when you're on IV and you can't eat anyway. You're just being fed by a tube. But it happens. But then I knew how to get back into being healthy again in a healthy way. That makes sense.
Are you trained in nutrition and lifestyle and diet and all that kind of stuff through the work that you've done?
Yes, I've taken courses for that. Yes.
Okay. So you're in a book. Your story is in a book, Mompreneurs on Fire 3, which I believe is coming out very shortly. And what's the kind of nature of your story in that book?
I spoke a little bit about what we just talked about, but, went a little more into depth on the eating disorder and the hyperemesis and how that all affected my health, because, it did. When you're coming off of an eating disorder and you have to replenish your body to get back where you need to be, and then to be back down again with hyperemesis, and then to be back up and then be back down again with it. it's led me to just even think differently. So I just went more in depth into that, hoping to help some other people that go through this, whether it be an eating disorder or hyperemesis itself can really play a lot of tricks on your mind.
With the hyperemesis, what is it that they inject into you? What's in the IV?
Just nutrition, just basic electrolytes, and as far as I have ever been told.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And I gather you have another book coming out shortly too.
I do. It's called the 30-Day Self-Perception Makeover. And I did that obviously because of what I've spoken about so far. The self-perception, unhealthy self-perception is what leads to so many bad habits, addictions, because we're trying to fill something that we're empty for inside from the outside and fill it. And so by having a healthy or amazing self-perception, then we begin to look at things differently, because somebody can tell us all day long how, smart we are, how great we are, whatever, but we all know that it doesn't matter. And if you really think about it, it doesn't matter. It matters what you think of you. So it mattered what I thought of me. So in these 30 days, you do something every day. So I write like I like to read, which is in shorter kind of stints so I can concentrate on something. So it's designed so that after the 30 days, your self-perception is totally flipped. You do a total 180 on your self-perception, and you begin to see so many amazing things come into your life, because you're then open to the flow of allowing those things to come in because you feel so great about yourself. And we all have down times, and there's some things in there too of what to do when you get there. Nothing's ever going to just be, up all the time. But when you learn those little tricks, that when you start getting that down feeling, to get it back going again, then we can get right back on track. And the thing I love about self-perception is that it radiates out to everybody around you, because they can feel your excitement for life, right? And they can feel how confident you are. And so
you can pick up really easy, can't you, where somebody walks into a room and you know that they're there. They don't necessarily say anything, but you just know that they've arrived and they're confident in the room. And it's nice to see, but you don't see it very often, do you?
No, you don't. And the kind of self-perception confidence is that kind that doesn't seem arrogant, right?
Yes, it's a very fine line.
It is, but it's I'm comfortable in my skin, and I'm okay, and I'm good with it. And I'm going to be authentic and honest, because that's just, if you have a healthy self-perception, that's the way you are. It's just, it's your nature. And even if somebody is not that way right now, you can get that way. But it's like anything else in this world. It takes inspired action. I like to call it inspired action instead of work. But it's an action that you're inspired to do, which can change you. But sitting back and just reading things or listening to things, you're not going to get that by osmosis, right?
Exactly.
So
it's like reading a book on learning to swim. Unless you jump in the pool, it's not going to happen, is it?
That's an exactly perfect example. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So do you do this speaking and coaching online, or do people come and see you in person in Florida?
Well, I've done the coaching I do online mainly now. I have, of course, through my years, because I didn't come online with my coaching till about 1.5 years ago. So the internet has been amazing. And, I say that, but when Skype first came out, I don't even know what year was that, 2006? I don't know. It was back then in 2006, I was actually having Skype classes.
Wow.
At 5:30 in the morning. So I guess I was online and didn't even realize that I wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
That's kind of when I started my online journey. But speaking, so I have done that for about 25 years. I started in my early 20s when I was asked to speak at different, started out at different gyms just for fitness. And of course I would always work the self-perception in there, because I wanted people to realize that it's not really what you look like. It's what's in here, but then affects the way you are outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's even, I'm sure you've heard this, the mind and muscle connection. If not to get off on a tangent, but if I'm doing bicep curls and I'm sitting here all day long doing this, but if I am lifting and I am focusing on that bicep, I'm going to have a better result.
Yes. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
it all goes together. So I started it in that way. I do a lot of speaking with nonprofits and charities because I work with women. So a lot of just helping them with their self-perception, or getting them back to feeling like, because them as well, we're all human. We work on our self-perception and it just goes from there. So as far as my question online, I do both. Basically, I do both. And the books, obviously, I write at home, and I've got a couple more waiting to be released after the 30-day self-perception makeover. So it's been really fun. It's been so fun. And for me, growing up, talk about self-perception, I was never really I was told in school, you're probably not the best speller. So I always wanted to write books, but I think, I had to get over those limiting beliefs and blocks in my own head too, because that's what I was told. But these days, you have somebody edit your stuff, make sure you didn't spell any words wrong and you're okay.
So are the books about, healthy lifestyle or that kind of thing, or are you venturing into novels?
Oh, no, not novels as of this point. It's all about healthy lifestyle, self-perception, fitness, and manifesting. Because like I said, I really love manifesting because I know that we all create our lives every single second by what we are thinking. And one thing I will mention, since I did bring up manifesting, I feel like I need to say this. You do not manifest or create somebody else's life. So if something happens to somebody else, or you did not do that, and we all have a path to take, we all have choices, and it's not saying one's right or one's wrong. We just may learn a little more of a lesson if we take this one than if we take this one. But that's okay, because that's our path, and that's where we get today. Like I said, with having an eating disorder and having hyperemesis, that's how I ended up doing what I'm doing today, or else who would know what I would have been doing today?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Brilliant. And so if somebody has low self-perception, obviously I don't expect you to go through your 30-day plan, but can you share with the listeners, one or two simple techniques that they can do to help themselves?
Definitely. So one I'd like to say is when you wake up in the morning, these are both have to do with when you wake up in the morning because it starts your day, right? So the minute you open your eyes, what are you thinking about? Pay attention to what you're thinking about. Is it a negative something, or is it something you're looking forward to doing, or is it something that hasn't happened yet that you're really excited about even though it hasn't happened yet? So one of those two positive ones is where you need to go with it. So I like to have a go-to vision, which is something that makes me happy, whether it's happened already or whether I envision it happening in the future. I get super excited when it happens. And the reason why that needs to be on recall is because when you first wake up in the morning, sometimes we're a little bit groggy. But think of that. If you can't think of anything else, have something that you've already thought about that you can get to just like that. Now, if there's something that you know that you're going to do the next day and you want to envision it going just as smooth as possible, right? Maybe you are going to do a presentation. Envision that being as smooth, like walk through every step and just envision that before you get out of bed and having a positive outcome. So what that does is it raises your energy vibrations, and then you are on that. I like to talk about 3 energy vibrations: high, medium, and low, but just get anywhere you can get out of the low one. The low ones are fine, but we learn lessons. We don't want to start off our day like that. We want to start it up. So always paying attention and cueing in on what it is that you think of when you wake up in the morning. The other one is go over to the mirror and look at yourself in the eyes and just thank yourself for being you. Like truly, and stay there until you are truly thankful for you, because you have eyes that you're looking in the mirror to, right? Thank your nose for it being there so you can breathe through your nose. It can be anything, But by you complimenting yourself, again, you are opening up that flow. You are getting a healthier self-perception because you're complimenting yourself. Because your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between reality and not reality. It's trained. We have trained it. So if we are trained to go more towards the negative, then we're going to go more towards the negative because it's easier. So we have to retrain our subconscious mind. So if you start that first thing in the morning and make it a habit every single day to go over to the mirror and compliment yourself. It can be, you can compliment yourself on the same thing every day. It doesn't matter. But you are retraining your subconscious mind by doing that. And you will start to see, even with those two little things, you'll start to see small shifts. It will take a little bit of time, but you will start to see little small tweaks and shifts in how you feel about you, which then radiates out to everybody else. I'm always also a huge fan of every time you pass somebody, flash them a smile.
Oh, that's so easy to do and free. And so few people do it, do they?
No, they don't. And it seriously takes looking up and smiling. And then you're not only helping yourself in raising your self-perception, you're also helping that other person. Even if they don't smile back at you, their mind and their subconscious mind is thinking, oh, somebody just smiled at me. Yeah. And it raises their feeling of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, gosh, yeah, that is such an easy one. And I say just smile at every stranger you can.
I once did that walking. I lived in a small village, and I went into the village and forgot what I'd gone there for. So I thought, right, I'm going to walk down the high street, very, very small high street, and I'm going to smile and say hello to everybody. I was new in the village, so I did that. And the shock, you know, people, they said hello, but it was like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, the people that I'd said hello to me first, and other people were saying hello, and it was lovely. And it was like I lifted the whole high street that day. And all I did was smile. I never remembered what I went there for either. So it really didn't matter.
And I feel like that was the reason why you went there.
Yeah.
You may not know that, but all of those people that you just made their day, you may have made their year. You might have made their life. Really. I mean, you have no idea what kind of impact you can have on just one person by flashing something that we all have, which is a smile.
Absolutely.
So I love that story.
Okay, so you've chosen two songs. I always ask guests to come up with two songs that's special for them. And your first one, you've said The Best Day of My Life by American authors or Alex G. I don't know of either of those singers or bands or whatever they are, but I like the title of the song, The Best Day of My Life. I'm sure you will recognise it when I play it.
Yeah, you might recognize it when we play it. And I love The Best Day of My Life because they can all be the best day of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. I have the best day every single day. People say to me, what are you doing on your birthday? Every day is my birthday. I celebrate life. I'm grateful every single day. So,
and I can tell that because you radiate that out to others. And so you're one of those people that lift people up just by being you. Because your self-perception is healthy, you know, you have that.
I'm comfortable. Yes, I'm comfortable.
Yeah,
definitely comfortable. And the other song you've asked for is Pennies by Cathlene Miner. Not heard of her either, so I look forward to hearing that song. And why have you chosen that one, Cathlene?
Because it just talks about how, you know, it's not money. It's really, whether if it's in a relationship or anything else, people always like to talk about money. And I get that question as a coach a lot. I want money. And it's really, if you dig in, it's not about the money. It's about how you make somebody feel. Right? And how we feel about ourselves. Like we talked about the self-perception. So the song kind of just goes into a little bit about, you know, it's really uplifting and pretty, but how you don't need that. I don't need your money. I'm really, it's you. You know, it's your infectious personality and that kind of things that raise somebody up, not money. Because like I said, in coaching, especially with manifesting, that's a question that comes up a lot, as you can imagine.
Indeed. So how do people get hold of you, Cathlene? Where do you hang out on the internet? What's your website?
My website is CathleneMiner.com.
And you're spelling Cathlene in a completely different way to how we spell it over in the UK. So can you spell it out for listeners, please?
Yes, it is CATHLENEMINER. So Miner is spelled a little differently too. So yeah. CathleneMiner.com. I'm also on Facebook. You know, I have a business page and a Facebook group and my personal profile and things like that. And I'm on Instagram as well. But you can find all that information on CathleneMiner.com. So that's just one place where you can go to find all of that out.
Fabulous. Okay, well, thank you very much for spending time with us this afternoon, Cathlene. It's been a pleasure meeting you. And as I say, I must compliment you on how young you're looking with your grandchildren and home educating and writing and speaking. It's certainly, you're living your passion, which is wonderful to see.
I am, and you know, I figured out kids make you feel younger. You have no, I mean, you're going to keep on going, so kids make us feel younger.
My grandchildren are now taller than me, and they just started work, so it's just, and I can't believe, like you said, how can you be, you know, doing all these things, how can you be speaking for 25 years? I can't believe when I'm talking about memories now, I'm going back 50 years for some of them. I mean, it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But there we go. So moving on. Thank you very much indeed for your time, Cathlene. Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. Thank you.